It's not one of my regular chords.
Ain't that what face? Okay. Taylor, that's my middle name. That says in this guitar, it says Taylor. So that was my middle name.
I always wanted a Taylor, and I was at a convention in Wisconsin. At home, there was a church auction going on at Fickle Peach that I'd been invited to, but I was working that weekend. So I just mentioned casually to Jody, I said, they gave me this ticket, this charity auction. I'm going to have a couple of beers. They're going to have something dark and boozy on tap that nobody, peach. I don't even remember what it was, but it was a cheap like. I said, just go there, have a couple of beers, I heard that Gary Bush is going to be auctioning off his Taylor, so if you get a wild hair, if you feel like buying me a guitar,
Brought it home, huh?
So I was actually having a beer and a burger on a break downtown Hamilton, and she sends me this text going, "This auction sucks." And I'm like, "Okay, why?" And then a minute later, she said, "Gary wouldn't let me have the guitar case." No, the stand. He wouldn't let me have the guitar stand. He let her have the case. He gave her the case. Wouldn't let her have the stand. So the reserve on it was something like, I think he asked for $200 or $300 as the reserve. It's a $700 guitar if you buy it new. It's not new. It's more than it sounds great. So he asked for like $200. Somebody came in and it was a silent auction, so you just went walking and write your bid. So somebody had come in and written $100. And she walked down, looked at the guy, his name was Troy, looked back at the sheet, wrote $300 down, and he said, "Well, okay then." So, she called me while I was having a beer and a burger on break at a gaming convention to let me know she bought me a guitar. Life was good.
Yeah, I like in them auctions where you sign and bid. That's why I like to wait till right before it's over. And, if something I really want, then I'll go with the bid and, bid a little higher. That's worked out.
I'm not good to bring myself.
You know what?
Somebody dragged me out of bed at 1 o'clock in the morning because they thought that a bunch of cars had been stolen out of the parking lot. I'm not sure what they expected me to do about it, but
Don't say that. I wrote back.
Turn your music off in the room while
They still throw a thing in.
Yeah.
Where's your badge? No, your office badge.
Ossifer.
Yeah. No, I remain as disreputable as ever. So, good morning, buddy. This is an asshole that booked us for 9 a.m.
I don't know. Whatever chump is in charge of the program.
That's an idiot.
Caffeine.
You obviously forgot to include the appropriate bribe amount.
Those
Submitting your information.
That's what it is. There's not enough. There's not a sufficient amount of in your letter of agreement.
I didn't have a letter of agreement. That was probably the issue.
And it was pretty.
I bet it was. Okay, that's good. That part.
Yeah, they were not, supposed to like not slip or whatever.
Why am I creating digital content if you're not going to be in the shop?
I have a face for being on camera.
This is true.
I want that face
You haven't
radio
asked me for
radio.
radio too. Nobody's recording any song called "Lickin' Mikey Mason."
Uh,
And if you were thinking about it, don't.
I
That
may
will
have
not get you a book deal.
So I may have recorded.
Maybe it talks about the dragon first and then we can.
So good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning to y'all. Thank you for joining us at 9 o'clock in the morning
Saturday.
on a Saturday at a con. Yeah. Burnout theater trash and a rock musician at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're sober. Mostly. So I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, and I'm here to interview my newest best-selling author, who also happens to be one of our music special guests and a longtime friend of ConCarolinas, longtime friend of my own, headmaster of the School of Hard Rock, Mikey Mason.
I need something stronger than this. Anyone? Anyone?
Go back to the room.
This time, it's upstairs.
So, Mikey,
Yeah.
let's talk about School of Rock.
Okay.
Because let's talk about the thing that's over and we're not going to promote it at all
No.
because it's done.
Yeah.
How did you end up in a production of School of Rock?
So I had long. It was a Muncie Civic Theater production, so it was a local civic theater production. I had for years wanted to audition for productions. They've been just, especially over the last decade, they've just been killing it. They've just been getting better, more and more professional. So I've been wanting. They did what's that? Not Rockstar. The one about the club closing and in the movie Tom Cruise played the guy.
Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages. They did Rock of Ages, and I had friends in that, and I wanted to audition for that. But obviously, I was on the road, but I've been in, I'm friends with the musical director at the Muncie Civic, and I had told him before that there's one show that if he did, I'd cancel whatever I had on the books to be in it. And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "The Secret Garden." Because I'd cancel books to play Archibald. I'd cancel booking.
Is that the play that all of y'all expected him to name? It was not on my list.
No. Mandy Patinkin can make me cry when he sings.
I can make you cry. I'll just step on your foot.
Yeah, and you can also make me cry by singing, but not in the same way.
True.
But no, I absolutely adore the musical, The Secret Garden. It just doesn't get people in, So they've been having real success with the movie musicals. So they've done Elf and they've done Shrek, and so they decided they were doing School of Rock. And the before they announced they were doing School of Rock, the musical director said, "We're going to do School of Rock, and I would like you to audition." I said, "Awesome. I'm going to have to cancel work before I do that." And so we'll just say things conspired that when the auditions happened, I happened to have a clear schedule. Not necessarily intentionally, not necessarily unintentionally, but I have a weird work schedule at home anyway because I run trivia 2 nights. That's my day gig, I guess. But 2 nights a week. So that's Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And so I went on the last day of auditions on a whim and auditioned. And turned out that there was one guy who could hit all the notes and play the guitar and was overly enthusiastic. And he was,
Not available, so they hired you.
right. He was 20, 25 years too old for the role, but they cast him anyway. And so they cast me. And it was super fun and exciting and also nerve-wracking because all of a sudden I have to. I don't know if you know this, but all right. So, who wrote the music for School of Rock? The additional music, not the stuff that was in the movie. Anybody know? Andrew Lloyd Webber.
That's it.
Wow.
Who wrote the book? Julian Fellows. Downton Abbey. Julian Fellows wrote the words for School of Rock.
No pressure.
No pressure. And so. But it was that, so that's how I got into it. And I told them when I auditioned, I said, "Look, I know that you rehearse Sunday through Thursday. And I need Tuesdays and Wednesdays off because I can't not, I'm already not doing performances in order to be here for 3 months. So I'm losing that money, but I can't lose the money I do for writing trivia as well." And so literally, they let me rehearse 3 nights a week. And they had somebody stand in with the kids when I wasn't there. Of course, I did do pickup rehearsals on Saturdays. I asked for band practice with the kids because the kids all played live. And I had to fight for that too because the young man, 2 of the kids had never played their instruments before, like never. The kid playing lead guitar had been playing guitar for 4 months, taking lessons for 4 months. The young lady who played the bass was an acoustic guitar player. Her little sister, I think she's 12 or 13. Her little sister, who was 3 or 4 years younger, was the bass player in the family. And she had her little sister teach her the part.
Wow.
And she came in knowing it. She came in knowing how to play the song and the songs. And she was just absolutely fantastic. And then the other 2 kids who were playing musicians in the band, the drummer had never played drums before, and the keyboardist had never played keyboards. Well, obviously, we arranged to have the drummer have drums sent home. And so, okay. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, you really got to you're not going to be able to practice unless you have drums at home. You can't just, it's just not going to be the same. I mean, you can drum on pillows and everything, but it's not the same. And then one of the guys says, well, I have a spare kit. We can sit down. I said, I want to ask his parents. No offense, but not, if somebody, sit in front of someone with my kid, I wouldn't blink. I think they'd be in my room, but I'd be in my studio, but I wouldn't blink, you know what I mean? But not every parent is that way. And Draylon, the kid who played keyboards, or was supposed to play keyboards, never played keyboards, and they just didn't even consider teaching him. And so I went and so I went to them. I said, after the first practice when Draylon wasn't there, I said, if you teach him to play 1 note per chord, we can say that he played live the whole show. As long as he plays live, and so they did. And I'm like, knowing full well that it's going to be more than that. And I'm listening to the keyboard solos, and no offense to them, but they're already cutting down the measures. It went from 16 measures to 8 measures to 4 measures for the solos because they're, undercutting the kids' ability to play. And so they're already shortening everybody's solos. And I'm listening to the keyboard solo, and I'm like, I'll bet he'll be able to do that. But I didn't say that. I said, let him play 1 note. So the first week of rehearsals that Draylon was with us, he played 1 note per chord. The second week, he played a chord and the bass note. The third week, he was playing the solo. Because we had 2 songs that he had to learn on the keyboard. And that's all he had to practice. And every single one of those kids put so much work, so much effort into it. And I asked for band practices with the kids on Saturdays because the only way to learn to be a band is to be a band, right? And they all worked so hard. So that's how I got into school. That was School of Rock. And at the end of the show, every night I got to say, and now I get to introduce you to my band. And it was awesome. And every night during the last song we'd play, during the next last song we'd play, when Adrian, the kid who played Zach, who played guitar, who worked busted his hump to play that guitar and to get good at it. And they had cut him down to 4 bars instead of 16 bars. And they said, you're on stage, you're the ringmaster when you're on stage. So you tell them, you direct them, you tell them when to cut. So it became a running joke with the production crew on the headsets. How long is it going to go tonight? The music director knew exactly how long I was going to go because I told him before we started, this kid gets 16 bars. I'm like, go kid, go! And he would keep going, and the audience would go crazy. Like, don't stop now! We're only at 8 bars. I didn't say that loud. We're only at 8 bars. You're halfway there. And they're like, well, how long is he going to go tonight? And I said, you got to be able to count to 16. That's all you got to know. You can count 16. Ta-da! So yeah, there we go. That was School of Rock. It was super
deep
fun.
inside me, there's a stage manager screaming right now.
The stage manager, okay. Accepted.
I don't give a shit, because I was a lighting director, I'm not the stage manager, there's one screaming somewhere.
Yeah, oh yeah. But it was a lot of fun and also a lot of work, and I destroyed my knees. So they've already asked me if I would come back and do another show at some point. I'm like, I would totally consider it. I'd have to want to do the show, and it would probably have to be a winter show because I'm not booked in the winter. I don't know if I'll take another 3 months off to do a show where what other show are they going to put me in a lead position on? If I'm going to get up 3 weeks of work, it's going to be something that I'm passionate about. Even playing, if I'm going to get a supporting role of any kind or in the chorus, I just have to be really passionate. Otherwise, I'd rather get paid for the 3 weeks.
Can't imagine. So, let's talk about your new book.
Do I have a book?
You do.
I do.
Color book.
In case anyone didn't know, on Thursday, Mikey released his first book, Confessions of a Geek Bard,
Yes,
a book born out of ConCarolinas.
literally.
So why don't you tell the story about how you got a book deal, Mikey? In other words, a cautionary tale called I Stuck My Foot in My Mouth and Ended Up with a Book Contract.
So I'm going to summarize the prologue to the book, which is titled "How We Got Here," and it's in the book, probably more eloquently than I'm about to say it right now.
Yeah, because I can't edit him right now.
Yeah, maybe not as entertaining, but probably more eloquent. So 2 years ago, Jody and I are here, and we're walking across over the boardwalk buildings to there's a pre-con dinner for some of the people, and we were invited. And we're walking over there, and John's walking out. And I almost always default to reintroducing my wife to everybody because, I can't remember who I met, let alone who she's met. So I'm like, John, this is Jody. Jody, this is John. He goes, we've met. She's like, we've met. I'm like, okay, well, I did my due diligence. It's better to reintroduce than assume, and then all of a sudden, why didn't you introduce me?
Okay, yeah, I lived that for almost 30 years.
Yeah, I would rather be you have introduced me to them 5 times. Well, it's better than not introducing you. That is not how Jody is. That's how Jody is when I comedically play her up. I say
And
that.
shortly after she hears him comedically play.
I say that because this is apparently the extreme that she might be watching. So John's an author, a book publisher, and a hell of a poet. So if you don't know his poetry, but my major was in creative writing, and I loved poetry. I still love poetry, and I've read Bubba the Monster Hunter, Volume 1, and I have read some of John's poetry. I've heard him present some of his poetry at a con before.
I forgot about that. That was at Boletheus, the Dragon. wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has a way with words in prose, but when he gets poetic, he's no offense, even better. He's better.
Thank you.
It's like all right. So his prose is a biscuit, and biscuits are awesome. But once you put some butter on that biscuit,
I don't think I've ever known a biscuit without butter on it.
maybe a little jelly.
Jelly, right?
Maybe a piece of sausage if you're a Bojangles. And
Oh, Bojangles by my house still has country ham biscuits.
so I said what my default conversation with John generally goes something like, John, one of these years I'm gonna put this creative writing degree to work, and I'm gonna propose a book to you. And he goes, I'll offer you the book deal right here, this convention. This weekend.
Open wide.
And I'm like, really? And he said, yeah, I want you to write a book of song lyrics and convention stories. Really? Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Now, my background on this side is I've read multiple musician memoirs. I'm a burnout lighting designer. I'm old rock and roll trash from way back So I've read like Billy Joe Shaver's book that is road stories and lyrics for Billy Joe Shaver. I've read Tony Rice's kind of half autobiography, half ghostwritten. I've read a bunch of this stuff, and I was always a massive fan of VH1 storytellers.
Oh yeah.
So one of my favorite things has always been, where do songs come from?
Yeah.
Where do stories come from? So as soon as Mikey said that, I was like, all right, smartass. You write it, I'll publish it.
So we ended that brief exchange on a handshake, and everything was all right. We got to be good boys now. And everything was, we went and ate everything, and we did I did the convention. Came home, and it was rattling around in my head, this whole idea. So I wrote a sample chapter. I wrote the very first chapter, which is the Halfling song, which is in the book that you can buy out there at
Full Staff Books. It comes with a ConCarolinas exclusive double-signed poster that includes the limited edition cover art.
Yeah, and it's actually sheet music for Best Game Ever on the back. So.
It is the best book. He's lucky I didn't make him call it that.
There are lines I will not cross, sir. That's probably not one of them. But
I was going to say another 2 points on your royalty commission, and you'd be like, fine.
Yeah. Sequel? No. So I went home, I wrote that, and I sent it to John. And I said, in case you were serious, or even half serious, here's what a sample chapter would look like. What do you think? And the next day, he sends me back an email that says, here's what I think. And it has a contract attached. And I'm like, well, shit. So I do my due diligence, and I look over the contract, and I look over, I actually put in the time to look up what makes a good first book contract. It turns out what he offered me was a little more than fair. It was when they say, this is an okay one, this is actually a pretty good first contract for an author, and this would be a fantastic book. This wasn't okay. This was a pretty good contract for a first author. Now, they don't have fantastic first book money at Full Staff.
True story.
And also, I read what I wrote, and it's probably not worth an advance.
It is worth every penny of the advance I paid.
I guarantee it was. So, and then he proceeds to tell me in conversations later that over the weekend at the convention, he had told 3 different panels that he had given me a contract and I was going to be published.
Yeah.
I just gave Mikey Mason a book contract.
I was only on 3 panels all weekend.
And I'm like, he didn't tell me. We had a conversation, a brief exchange, chuckle, and a handshake.
I published over 300 books. You think I ain't seen this movie before? I have gotten more of those. So were you serious emails after a conversation than I can count from a fair half dozen people that are at this con?
Yeah.
Wait, did you mean that? Yes, I did.
So, yeah.
And then he said, hey, Mikey, I got another idea.
Oh.
I think we should do a limited edition hardcover.
And I'm like, ow.
What? Is anybody? What do you think you're going to charge for it? Like $30, $40? I was like, no, son. No, son. It's going to include a CD of the songs you talk about in the book. And it's going to have no words on the front cover, just an image. And I could hear his eyebrows climbing further and further.
And special cover art. It only comes with this.
Yeah, special cover art. And then I could just hear it like, it's my first book. Nobody's going to buy that. To which I'm thinking, dumbass, you pack out rooms every con you go to. Yeah, people are going to buy that. You literally sell them a download stick for $100. And it is the best value they're gonna find.
It is. So, you know, I'm like, I don't know, how many you think? And he said, I don't know, like, how many, like, a run of 50? He goes, 250, maybe 500 if the
Yeah.
sales go well.
We'll start planning for 250, and if the pre-order sales are strong, we'll lock it in at a 500 piece limited run. And I can just kind of hear are you on all the drugs?
My internal monologue went something like this. Well, it's not out of my pocket.
So I reached out to a mutual friend, David Beauchamp, who does convention art
Yes,
and does some fantastic things with sheet music.
yes.
And I said, okay, here's what I'm seeing. Here's some pictures of Mikey. Make him look cooler than he really is. And then we're going to put this on top of one of your sheet music treatments for best game ever. And that's it. And we'll put the title on the spine, but no other words.
That's it.
And I can continue to hear
Well,
both him and Davey thinking,
it's not out of my
You're
pocket.
yep. And I'm like, nah, they buy that bullshit from my books. They'll sure buy it for yours. I have more faith in the books I edit than in the ones I write, as most editors would. So yeah, we sold through the first 10% of the 500 piece print run before we got here. And I don't think I'm taking any books home. So there are still a few available. Y'all can swing by the booth. If you pre-ordered, you can pick up your pre-orders. If you didn't pre-order, well, I hope you get by the booth today. Because otherwise you might be on the reorder side, and that's going to mean I ship them to Muncie and then get them shipped to Charlotte.
I still have this. So, first, he told me that I broke the fall stack pre-order record for special edition.
True story.
So, if that was you, thank you.
Yeah.
And also, I think that Sarah's going to kill me.
She put a price on you, by the
sure
way.
she did,
There's
yeah.
a bounty. I just
Yeah.
told her that now that means she has to work doubly hard for her next release. See?
Yeah.
See? And you see, after she beats Mikey, then Mikey's gonna be like, wait, no, I gotta write another book.
We already talked about that.
Uh-huh. Sure did. He's like, shit.
We did already talk. Nothing was signed. Look, there is something intimidating. All right, being asked to write a book is one thing. Being contractually obligated to
No
turn in a
pressure.
manuscript.
Opening your big
No.
mouth while walking
You know
to
what
the
I mean?
bar is one thing. Getting a 14-page contract via email.
There is a difference between going out with someone and marrying someone, and that is a contract. There are verbal agreements, and then there is contractually obligated. And
I've had a fair number of publishing contracts that have outlasted a whole lot of rock star marriages. Buddy.
well, no doubt, no doubt. But that's because of contractually obligated.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
So what is the book for the people who may not know?
Oh,
It is called Confessions of a Geek Barber. What
Oh,
the
yeah.
hell is it about?
so it's not a memoir. It is not a complete anything. It's song lyrics, and there are memories. They're put in an order that makes sense to me, whether it makes sense to you. Some of the songs are presented in the order in which they were published. Some of the songs are presented in the order in which a specific version of them was published. Like Goonies takes place in the middle of the book instead of towards the beginning, even though it came out on Barbarian Jetpack first. It's the version for Detour that I talk about in the book, and the stories I tell are from my years of stand-up comedy, and from conventions and gaming stories from my youth and personal history. And I was worried at first because I thought John would want it to be all funny, because convention stories. It's going to be a laugh riot, right? But the thing is that not everything I do is funny, and I come to the terms with the thought when I first started doing conventions, I was geek comedy, and now I'm a geek musician, and I'm still a comedy rock geek, right? I get that. I do a lot of funny stuff, but I write songs like opposite of cool, and so I let myself feel things. And so I let that translate into the book. And I was really worried because John was going to go, there's a lot of this that's just not funny, Mikey. And he never said that out loud, but he also never said, you need to rewrite it.
So last night during your concert,
Yeah.
I'm texting people.
Yeah.
Because I'm working. So after you played opposite of cool, I sent a text to Teresa. I want you to read that. What's in green right there?
And that song is why he has a book.
Yeah. See, Mikey didn't get a book contract because he stopped me on a bridge. Mikey didn't get a book contract because I've seen him play at conventions and we've been friends for pushing a decade now, probably. He got a book deal because I saw him play opposite of cool at Geek Gala in 2019. And I loved the song. And that's a story. And I knew from watching him then and from knowing him that he could tell stories.
Yeah.
And I knew within halfway through the first chapter that he could write a story. I don't need a whole lot else. I can teach you how to be a published writer. That's what a small press publisher is supposed to do. We're not going to teach anybody how to write. You better know how to write before I get a manuscript. But I'll teach you how to be a writer. Mikey already knows how to be a convention guest, how to be a performer. He knows how to comport himself on panels, albeit most of the panels that he and I get booked on comport ends up in quotes, but
They come with a disclaimer before you come into the room.
yeah, I think our names count as a disclaimer. NSFW. But I knew that I didn't need to teach him how to be on the convention circuit. And with Opposite of Cool, I knew that there was more to him than the comedy rock geek. That's how all of that happened a year before we ever started actually talking about doing a book. 2 years before we actually started talking about doing a book.
But this is my career in a nutshell.
This is actually his career in a nutshell.
No, I mean, Jody can attest to it. It's everything I've ever done I've found a way, or the universe has found a way to make that a bridge to the next thing. Every success I've ever had has been used to leverage the next success. Every failure I ever had has been used to inspire me to the next success. And when you have a win, it's only a win for so long. You can win. Take a sports analogy. You can win a championship. The next year, there's another championship. You gotta win it, and winning that first one doesn't. It positions you to be a favorite towards that second one, but if you don't use it, if you don't work for it, it doesn't happen. And so everything you do, if you don't find a way to use it, when I first did stand-up comedy, when I first started doing karaoke, playing karaoke rooms with CDs with my backing tracks that I recorded at home, and I would give it to karaoke jockey and do comedy songs at karaoke that nobody knew, and had a whole bar singing along with my stuff. That turned into getting to open for a nationally touring comedian at a local bar, and they happened to record it. And the comedian took me with him 2 nights later to play his next gig in town because he liked me that much and became a mentor to me. And they gave me the recording of that first night, my very first time doing stand-up comedy in a professional capacity. And I used that to get booked at my first comedy club. And my first comedy club that I actually got worked at, and it sounds like it's a breakneck speed, And in terms of stand-up comedy, it was, but we're talking a matter of a year or months and months and years. So it was a bit of a slog. I'm still working a day job, but at that comedy club, the very first time on a comedy club stage, opening for a internationally known comedian, somebody who appeared on the Rodney Dangerfield Young Comedians specials, and had book deals, and was the voice of the Rodney Dangerfield dog cat cartoon or whatever. He was the voice of Rodney Dangerfield in the dog cartoon. Yeah, there was one. John Fox. So my first time on that comedy club stage, it was pro shot, and I was on NBC. My first time, and I spent the entire amount that I got paid for that weekend to get a copy of that DVD from the club, so that I could chop it up into videos and use it to get booked. And within a few months, I was getting booked by the largest comedy booking agency on the Eastern Seaboard, the Comedy Zone, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And when I sent that video, and here's the other thing: when I sent the email that I sent to Heffron Talent, to Joel Pace at Heffron Talent, it was March 17th. I didn't even think about it. Every other stand-up comedian was either performing, so it was a Saturday too. Every other stand-up comedian was either performing somewhere or getting drunk somewhere. And I was sending promo material. He got 4 emails that night. One of them was from somebody looking for work. He watched my videos because he got 4 emails that night. He sent me back an email the next day. Why have I never heard of you?
Obvious shortcoming on your part.
Right, that's it, because I'm nobody. And he gave me a phone call, and I ended up booked in Wisconsin, Texas, Florida, and put on the wait list, and then I stayed and got booked regularly starting that September. And then I started to transition to becoming a full-time stand-up comic. And it's because every time I had a success, I found a way to try and leverage that into my next step. And then I wrote She Don't Like Firefly, and I was already performing at a convention called Fear the Comet. I'd done it twice. It was just my regular stand-up act. I didn't have any geek music. And I was like, I'm gonna put out a song for geeks and see where it goes. And so I wrote She Don't Like Firefly. We shot the video and put it up the week before I was supposed to be at Fear the Con. And then somebody sent it, tweeted it at Nathan Fillion, Marina McCarran, Jewel State down in the audience saying, "Have you seen this?" And Marina McCarran retweeted it with "so great." And Jewel State, I know, right? And Adam Baldwin retweeted it. And all of a sudden, I'm in Time Magazine's Tech TV for going viral section and getting on the Nerdist.com. Not the Nerdist podcast, but Nerdist.com. There's a difference. And on Sci-Fi.com's Blaster, which doesn't exist anymore. They've rebranded it long since. But all of a sudden, but that doesn't guarantee anything either.
Yeah.
Right? So then I started a Kickstarter for an album, and it paid off, and I recorded an album, and then I did another Kickstarter, and with that, instead of recording an album, I bought the stuff to be able to record albums with, and then I recorded, but how many am I at now? 14? 13 more albums, 7 EPs, lots of singles, and I put out a new song, or I put out new music every week on Patreon as part of the Music Monday.
Now that's kind of crazy to me. A song a week. Do you write like half a dozen and bank them, or is it like every Tuesday you sit down, your morning constitutional, and you're writing a song on the toilet?
Like a crapper.
That.
True story.
I asked that question before Jody came in.
True story. Hold on. This is one of the songs that got put on Patreon this year.
See, y'all wondered if we were going to make the whole music thing happen.
All right, here. This song was almost good, but I wrote this in the bathroom. You think it's crappy good, 'cause 'cause I wrote this in the bathroom. At least it won't sound like those other songs I wrote in the same places. Keep my phone handy, 'cause when I gotta go, I can keep the flow. Inspiration strikes in all the most unlikely places. And songs are like your mouths, 'cause you gotta go, you gotta go. This song was almost good when I wrote it in the bathroom. You think it's crappy good, 'cause I wrote it in the bathroom, in the bathroom.
That was written on Monday morning.
About an hour after you had your first coffee.
Got it.
So, yeah, no, I do a
Full
lot of...
disclosure, I had no idea that song existed.
I do a lot of last minute writing, but it's because it's when I've scheduled to write it, okay? And, you have a writing schedule. You tend to write in the mornings because you know that in the afternoons you're going to get interrupted.
Yeah.
Okay? And there are people who write on a schedule because that's the time they have. But then that also, if you buy the concept of the muse, and I do as an abstract concept, I like it because it gives me a chance to externalize my anger about not being able to create and blame it on someone else. So we all want someone to blame.
That's why you now have a publisher.
Right. And so I find that when you create on a schedule, you train yourself to be creative on a schedule. And what I have long told my patrons on Patreon is that you're going to get new music every week, all right? Sometimes I'll record a cover song. You know, I've put up a cover of Squeeze's Pulling Muscles from the Shell because I like the song.
Also, at our age, we pull muscles just
It's
still.
true. I put up a version of me doing Closer by Nine Inch Nails, except by the Muppets.
And what's that URL for that Patreon? That's patreon.com/Mikey Mason.
Patreon.com/Mikey Mason. So
'Cause I'm going to sign up just for.
I want to fuck you like
I mean,
you like him anymore. From the inside. Fuck you like an animal. My whole existence is flawed. Girl, you bring me closer to frog.
yeah, I'm here for that. It's got me flashing back to 1990. We're not going to discuss that. 1990, we're not going to discuss.
So I've also done, what is the Hamilton song that I did?
My shot.
No.
No.
The Story of Tonight
Oh.
by the Muppets. Because I do the Muppets voices, you know what I mean? And I like doing it, and it's fun. And so I do that. But I also write a lot of original songs that don't necessarily fall into any particular category, and it won't be on brand. So I've been, I've got a handful of songs that are working for what is going to be a dark pagan themed album that isn't funny. Songs like The Morrigan and Ghost of Halloween and Vampire's Lullaby. And so these are just songs that are.
It sounds like you're going to do a collaborative album with Valentine Wolf.
I already did. It was called In Shadow. It was a 3-song EP. I covered Annabelle Lee and made Braxton very happy when I just dropped it to E instead of B flat minor. I dropped it to E minor. And he was like, "That's brilliant. It's so much easier to play." And then a cover of a really old traditional song called The Unquiet Grave, and then I wrote an original song called In Shadow about Halloween. I love Halloween. And they played and sang. He played on all 3 songs. She sang on The Unquiet Grave and In Shadow. And it was just, they sold the last physical copy last night, but it's streaming on Spotify. You can get it at Bandcamp.
And if they pick up your $100.
It's on my flash drive. Yeah. It's pretty much everything I've ever put out professionally, and a bunch of bonus tracks. So in total, there are 470 plus tracks on my flash drive.
By the way, did you know what comes up first song when you call up Mikey Mason on Spotify for the first time?
No.
Neither did I.
Letterkenny?
Oh no, oh no, I'm sitting there. I'm just
Oh God, you're
oh,
talking about
like, okay, I'll just put on some Mikey. I'm gonna write a comedy scene. I'll put on some Mikey Mason, and I'm licking Henry Cavill. I'm like, that is not a 10 a.m. visual. That is not a 10 a.m.
wrong
visual.
10 a.m.
You were part of the visual. It wasn't Henry that was the problem. Yeah, that was the first thing I heard the first time I called up Mikey Mason on Spotify.
Yeah.
I switched right back to that Valentine Wolf playlist.
Some of Jody's employees know that song. It's funny.
That's terrifying. It's like my friend Leanne was playing one of the Quincy Harper audiobooks when she went through the drive-thru at McDonald's.
Yeah.
She can now never go back to that McDonald's. They've asked her not to come back.
It's like you were going to say the Sasquatch scene from Bubba.
No, it was Quincy Harper threatening to anally rape a demon with a dildo made from the wood of the True Cross. You mentioned poetry, right?
Yeah.
I was feeling particularly poetic when I wrote that one.
It's more of a driving. That's heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah, so she doesn't get to go back to that book. So, in addition to a new book, you also have a new album out.
I do. Greatest Crits, 2nd edition. Much like Dungeons and Dragons, 2nd edition. This is hastily assembled, hastily edited, and a lot of new content. This is my Fako. No. So I put out Greatest Crits because I've long been thinking, I have several CDs that are just going out of print. Pretty much anything that's more than 5 years old, I'm not doing another printing of. There's no point in it. However, there's a lot of great music on there, and you can either buy the flash drive. Not everybody wants a flash drive. You can get, compilations. So it seems to me to compile things thematically is the most obvious thing. So the first one I tried was called Greatest Crits. It was a compilation of all my gaming songs that I've ever done. The thing is that I just keep writing stuff. And I'm a gamer, so I keep writing gaming songs. So more albums came out. 3 more gaming songs came out on those albums. Let's Fix Memory, Save versus Stupid, which I played in front of the authors and dragons. And No One Wants to Play With You, which is about people who make house rules. And then, but from Patreon, I had so many more gaming songs. So I assembled Greatest Crits 2nd edition, which has 3 songs that have been released before, and then 12 that haven't. Skyrim Lullaby, These Guys Are Trying to Kill Me, The Frog, which is about a ranger who took a giant frog as his pet. Who Brought the Warlock, Table Flip, which is about a guy who got broke up with at the gaming table. Side Quests, Nothing But Time, which is another breakup song, but the guy takes a far more healthy attitude. I got minis to prime and nothing but time. Dice Bag Blues, Phaser Rip, which is about the old school Marvel superheroes role-playing game from TSR, the Phaser Rip role-playing game. Fallout Love, and then there's a parody on here of It's the End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine. And it's The Fiend Folio as We Know It and I Feel Fine, in which the entire lyrical content of the song are the creatures from TSR's 2nd edition Fiend Folio. Except for the chorus, it's the Fiend Folio, and then the one part is it's time I rolled initiative. So, but yes, that's the Greatest Crits 2nd edition. So if you like gaming songs and you like my stuff, and you want a lot of new gaming songs all in one place, there it is.
And they can get that right
You can
outside.
get that right outside.
Or they can get it on the big
It
flash
is on the
drive.
flash drive.
Or it's on the updated flash.
It's on the booster. It's a big flash drive. It's everything. Every year I put out a booster. So the 2023 booster is everything that came out since the last flash drive, right? So and then the flash drives just keep continuing. So you can buy the big flash drive, and it's everything from 2016, from the 2016 flash drive. So from actually there's stuff on it from before 2000. There's songs I wrote in college, and they did.
And that's been a long time ago, kids.
early 90s. So there are demos on there that I wrote in college and recorded in my brother's house. And that's everything. Lots and lots of stuff, some wholly inappropriate stuff. Including, there's a thing in there called Ancient History, which is that Ancient History? There's something in there where the very first time I performed stand-up comedy live, the whole performance is there.
Wow.
The one that I used to get booked, that one that I told you the story about, it's on there. And then because my wife and I are special edition, what's it called? The
Special features.
the special features junkies, yeah. So I have those tracks again, but I do commentary over it. So from the perspective of guys that are doing comedy. And also on there is the very first joke I told on stage as part of a stand-up comedy competition in Indianapolis in 1993 or 94. Oh, no.
Gotta buy the flash drive, huh?
You know, somebody told me you work to sell things, not give it away.
You know, Anthony Kiedis, however, says give it away now.
Kiedis is a millionaire.
That's fair, and he runs around with a Kyle sock on his dick.
Yeah. 3 guys with socks on their dicks.
Yeah, but Flea's the only one who's not wearing pants. The other guys, we're just taking it on.
Jim?
Yeah. Exactly. So, do y'all have any questions for Mikey about his music? Yes.
Do any of the kids from School of Rock still play? Are they still playing their instruments?
Well, I mean, it's only been a couple months. The Aubrey, the girl who played Katie, is still a musician. She has questions. Her parents have already talked to me about trying to find a way to answer her questions, to tell her what steps to take to further her career in music. Draylon, the kid who played Lawrence, the keyboardist, he actually plays violin in the school band. I think he only picked up keyboard just
for the
show. But literally before the show, every day, and of course at home, he was just practicing. Adrian, the kid who played Zach, still plays currently every day. Every day there's a different new guitar that he wants. His parents have been staying in contact with me. And then Cash, the kid who played drums, I believe he had to give the drum set back, but I think he's just going to stay rocking. He actually plays guitar now, so he started playing guitar. So yeah, no, the Aubrey's dad, Dan, wants us to get back together and do reunion shows where we play classic rock songs. And I'm like, well, that's cool, but you're going to teach them how to play the songs. Just give me a song with South Shore.
You really are a rock star, aren't you?
No, I'm just a guy who gets paid to do other things.
Anybody else? What else do you want to know?
Your new album, is that focusing on American paganism, worldwide?
Oh, okay. So that is, and as yet, I don't have a release date on it. It's one of those things where I've been collecting this stuff, and when I have enough that I think that it's an album, or when I give up and say, oh, this is an EP, then I'll put it together. And it's just general paganism, mostly Celtic, because that's where a lot of my interests lie. Obviously the Morrigan, and that just came from writing songs. You write about what you're thinking about or what you're feeling, right? And so Ghost of Halloween is a very American-centric, generic, I say Halloween, I don't say Samhain, there's a song called Talking to Spirits, which was inspired by Joe Abercrombie.
We may or may not have had conversation about writers who we love and writers who we're not the biggest fans of.
By one of the first scenes in the book, The Blade itself, where Logan Ninefingers is, because he's able to talk to spirits, and so that was the inspiration of the song Talking to Spirits.
Great book. Hate grim dark fantasy.
I get it. It's not for. That's why they make steak and cheesecake.
Because when you mash them together, it's fabulous.
Well, and that's why some people mash steak and cheesecake together.
And that's how you get cheesesteak, right?
And then some people won't. Yeah, with cherries.
Yeah.
There's also a song called Circle the Fire, which is kind of just a pagan communal chant, kind of, and it's very generic nature-centric paganism. I am not a pagan. I love the imagery. I get inspired by a lot of different things. I'm not a superhero. I write songs about. So it's just one of those things. I love the fantastic. I love fairy tales. There's a song that's on there, which is that's planned to be on there, called The Passage, which is about being able to look into your own future, but then realizing you got to find the way back to who you were. So it's just one of those, there's more to every one of us than anyone else sees, but when you become a brand, you're expected to put this thing out, so it's supposed to be funny. And there are people who will leave my show if I don't do the funny songs or the songs they want to hear. And the problem is that first, my catalog keeps growing exponentially. As far as the released catalog, but the unreleased material, there are a minimum 52 songs every year. My average is 67. That's my average. February album writing month comes around. In February, I attempt to write 14 songs in 28 days. That's 14 new songs in 28 days. A few years ago, during Christmas time, the week before Christmas, I said, hey, you know what? I have some, there it is. Houston, we have a problem. I said, I just put it out on social media. Hey, I have some spare time and wouldn't mind some extra Christmas spending money. So if you want a special gift for somebody for $100, I will write and record a song based on what you want me to write and record a song on. And I think 14, 15 people asked me to write songs. And I took a cue, and the first two I was like, I guarantee you'll have this before Christmas. And the rest of them were like, you'll get this as soon as I can get it to you. And it got to the point where people were asking me, it was like, I can't agree to do this in good faith for you because I'm not going to take your money and not be able to give you something in a reasonable amount of time. So I still did. I think I did 12 or 14 songs. Some of them are on here. The Frog and Who Brought the Warlock, they were songs written at that point because somebody paid me to write songs for their kids about their gaming groups.
Oh, nice.
And and they're good songs. If it's a bad song, I tend not to put it out. I will rewrite. I don't guarantee that there's no actual guarantee of quality. There's no guarantee that you're going to like the music that comes out. But there is a guarantee that I like it enough to put it out. I like it enough to let you hear it. And if I don't like it enough to let you hear it, and I'll tell you, there are lots of scraps of tracks and fragments of lyrics on my hard drive where I'm like, not today. Maybe I'll visit that later. Maybe it'll be something good later. I don't know, but it's not good enough now. It's not where I'm at now. So.
Well, we've got a little more than 5 minutes left. Would you like to share something that you think might be good enough off your new album?
Oh, man, off the new album. Who played Marvel Superheroes? Anybody played Marvel Superheroes? 3 of you? All right.
That's about average market research.
I'm gonna play side quests. I'm gonna play side quests for a reason, all right? Because this was hastily assembled and edited, it turns out that this actually comes with a side quest because this printing of this very first printing, actually failed to include the song side quests. So the side quest is that it comes with a download code on the back. You can download the entire album digitally at no charge and get the song side quests, and that's your song side quest. But my entire career has been a side quest of some sort or another. So I'm gonna find that and play that. Is that good?
Works for me. I thought it'd be a good way to
Maybe.
finish out the morning, and I thought, well, you brought the guitar.
I brought the guitar just in case. Let me do this the easy way. name.
Control F.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work on this. It probably does work on this, but this is easier for me. Side quests. You ever tried to type on iPad without a keyboard? It sucks.
Yeah.
Who likes video role playing games? Anybody? I love video role playing games, but I'm not real big on the main quest lines. There's a world that's needing saved, dangers needing braved by a hero who is equal to the task. There's a storyline revolving around a hero who's evolving and a villain we're all waiting to unmask. But this world is so intriguing and the plot gets so fatiguing and there's so much in this place to see and do. So forgive me while I wander and explore the wild blue yonder, and I'll push your plot objectives too far into the deep because of side quests, world-defining side quests, XP mining side quests, entertain me, help level up my gear. Side quests, here and there are side quests, everywhere the side quests they distract me, the plot line disappears. There's a dragon needing slaying, but this farmer's hens aren't laying, and their neighbor seems to be behind the curse. And if I can just remove it, and if somehow I can prove it was her neighbor, then the farmer will add coinage to my purse. Coins I can then use down at the blacksmith who refuses then to sell a single blade until he has enough in stock. But I can take this pick and in that cave that's filled with brigands, clear them out and use the pick to mine and pour out from the rocks, and it's a side quest. World mining side quest, XP mining side quest, entertain me anyhow, level up my gear. Side quest, here and there are side quests, everywhere the side quests that distract me. The plot line disappears, and in the real world, side quests still appear. On my way to get the groceries, the friend stops for a beer, but I only have one beer, and so we get into my car. We resolve that situation by us driving to the bar. We have a round or two until we're joined by one more friend, and then another and another, and the party hits an end when I get a text from my wife wondering where the hell I'm at. But my friends forgot their wallets, so I spent the grocery cash on all these side quests. I'm enjoying side quests in the real world, just like I do in my games. Side quests, wallet bending side quests, marriage ending side quests, things that the lot goes down in flames. Side quests they distract me as my life goes down in flames.
All right, you can pick up Greatest Crits Volume 2
Second edition.
right out in the hallway.
2 weeks.
It'll explain Thaco to you.
There are no fake host songs on this.
Damn it, boy.
They were like, you know, we're gonna take fantasy math, we're gonna make it mathier. And the nerds.
Not all of us.
And the geeks said,
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mikey.
I am contractually obligated to say, buy my book.
Yes.
I've been doing that at every panel.
I am gonna write it into the next segment.
If I was on the side quest, I think they're caught Mikey to doing an autobiography or a memoir.
So Shrewsbury, during the Who's Con Is It Anyway, had me do a game where I was doing a press conference and I had to figure out who I was.
Okay.
And but they asked me questions and I have to answer the questions and infer who I am. And so one of the questions was, Shrewsbury says, "What the hell is up with the hat?" So it was pertinent to the character because it turned out it was Sherlock Holmes. But I took it.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be the Pope.
No, he said, "What the hell's up with the hat?" I said, "Well, actually, this was given to me by a very good friend. His name is Mikey Mason. You might have heard him. He just had a book released by Falstaff Books."
Having shit to get you the second contract.
All right, it's on the list.
That was certainly
He's
slow
awake.
for 9 a.m.
He's awake.
I'm almost awake.
We had breakfast. I woke up before my alarm clock.
Yeah.
I woke up multiple times.
Yeah.
I like to set my alarm for 7. And I'm like, this is, I know I'm getting up.
Normally I'm up and logged on for work around 5:30. I've got to get a couple hours before the VPN crashes.
Right. Also, yeah, you got to get a couple hours of work in
Yeah, before,
while you can still
Before
get
the
work
meeting
done.
starts.
yeah, but I had just enough here last night that she woke up before me and it was great.
Jody woke up before me because
Yeah.
she sets her alarm so she can get around. Because she's all responsible. I set my. That takes me less time to get around. So.
Yeah.
So I don't have to get up as early, but I still tend to get up early.
Yeah.
Until I get to 11 minutes. Am I in your way?
No, so just in case you're wondering, the interview will be, was live streaming on YouTube.
Yeah.
But we won't clip it until this week.
Okay.
So if you want a copy, you'll have to rewind and.
Sure.
And do that kind of stuff.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, no problem. And my mother-in-law simply loved you last night.
Did you? Awesome.
I was like, yeah, I'm like, get this book, it's $75. And then.
There's cheaper versions of my tape.
No, I'm telling you. And then, I said, yeah, and it's bigger, you get 50-something, 67 something.
Yes. Thank you, bro.
All right.
Hi. How are you? I didn't know what you were doing. I know we're gonna be out here.
Somebody asked